Okay, last night was Friday, and usually I work Friday nights, but because my husband worked on Saturday, I actually did talk to my boss a few weeks ago at this point about when he works on Saturday. I just come in on Saturday and work instead of me having to drive back and forth. So I am working today instead. But the oldest has driver's ed. Which means, oops, sorry, I did not mean to cover you. Which means I had to come home to pick her up to take her to driver's ed. So that's what I'm doing now, currently. And that is not what I came on this clip to say, actually, at all. That was not my intention. So sorry if I'm walking around. All of that to say, this is why I'm walking around. I'm sorry about that. What I really came on here to say was, hi, hello, welcome to the vlog. We're actually at the end of the week when I'm recording this clip, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what you're going to find in this vlog this week. So if you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Skye. I am a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name Hegyes. And this vlog clip, we're going to be talking about, my love of Monster Hunter Wilds, because it just came out February 28th, and I've been playing it nonstop every day since. We're going to be talking about evaluating projects, seeing like interest level in them, how we feel about them, stuff like that. And all of that in order to decide what project I'm going to be working on next. In the meantime, enjoy this vlog where we talk about evaluating projects and interests and deciding what to work on, as well as like gushing about games. So enjoy. Big octopus. I didn't like it. Knowing that my thingy died. That makes me sad. Hello. I am on my lunch break at work. My voice still sounds like crap. There is not much I can do about that. I don't know what else to do about it. I have tried everything. If you can think of it, I have probably tried it. But what I wanted to talk to you guys today about is, so recently I've been trying to figure out like what projects I want to start focusing on. I've been re-evaluating like writing projects and like publishing and all of that jazz. What I want to focus on now is re-evaluating where I currently stand and what I want to do moving forward. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately for multiple reasons. And the main reason is the fact that I have so many ideas that I want to work on. I have done a series of videos where I talked about all of the projects that I want to work on and where I stand with them at the time that I film those videos. And I will have a link to that in the description if you're interested in that. But the other thing is the fact that some of those projects, like, I either no longer have an interest in at all, or like I have more interest in some than others, or I've added more projects. If it was a series, I've added more stories to the series than I have to others, or like there have been a couple where I'm like, I had originally an idea for a series, and that series, like, I don't think I can turn it into a series. I think it would be better off as like a standalone kind of thing. So I've been thinking of all that, and what I've been working on the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-ish days, not including today, is I wrote down the list of projects that I have, and all the series, all the short stories, all the standalones and stuff like that. And between them all, I have 28 series, 19 standalones, 1 nonfiction, and 3 collections, like 3 short story collections, for a total of like 51 projects. And the 51 is not quite accurate because I considered the series as like a single, no matter if there was like 2 books in that series or 13 books in that series. So like they were all, there's a lot more individual projects, but like as a whole, 51 total is what it comes down to. And they're under various pen names. So I have been going through them one by one and basically just kind of brainstorming my thoughts on like how much interest I have in them, where I currently stand, especially like with the series. Like some of those series I've got like book 1 published, book 2 written book and seen by an editor, book 3 written and seen by an editor, book 4 part of a first draft, kind of like that, something like that. So like I'm really deep diving and thinking about each of these projects, and I am on number 21 of the 28 series. So it's slow progress, but it is what I am working on currently. And what I'm hoping to gain by this is to kind of decide like which stories, whether it's series or standalones, I want to put like the most focus in. And then I want to start like narrowing down my focus. I do have a problem with focusing. I am very much a mood writer and a binge writer. And since this is a hobby, that's not a terrible thing for the most part. And we'll get into why it can be. It has pros and cons. As a hobby writer, I want to make sure that I have very little time to write between work and having only one vehicle that everyone is sharing, and all of the school events and all the 4-H events, and I am taking classes online now. Like between everything we have going on, I have very little time to dedicate to writing. And so like if I've only got, usually I write on my lunch breaks, like I'm filming right now on my lunch break, I've usually only got a set amount of time to write. And if I've only got that set amount of time to write, I don't want to spend that time working on a project that I have no interest in, that I just don't feel like writing, whether it doesn't matter what the reason is. I'm not one that generally believes in writer's block, in the fact that I just can't write, because I've always got a project I can write on. And usually if I am stuck on a project, there are 3 factors. 1, I have to do more research, and I'm just not willing to do that research right then. 2, I am stuck where I've got a plot hole and I don't know how to fix said plot hole. Or 3, I'm just not in the mood to write that particular story, and I don't necessarily know what I'm in the mood to write. Which is actually, honestly, for me, the most common. I have been battling that by, there is a possibility I've never been officially diagnosed. However, I have met enough people who are officially diagnosed, and I share enough symptoms with them that I am pretty damn certain I have ADHD. I also probably, more than likely, have auditory processing disorder, because I do have a lot of problems with my hearing. And like I even since I was a kid, there is a specific range I can hear in, and if you are not speaking to me in that range, or if like there's multiple noises both in that range and outside that range, like all coming down to me at once, like I cannot listen to music and have a conversation with someone at the same time. I have to turn the music off. Have to. That's why clubbing has never been fun for me, because like if I'm at the club, I'm hanging out with friends usually, because who goes clubbing alone? And I cannot talk to someone when the music's raving around me. Like it's just no. So like 99.9% certain I have auditory processing disorder, just based on my hearing issues. And then possibly, probably, haven't been tested, have ADHD. And because of that, I have been testing out a few things that some of my ADHD friends have suggested to me. outside of medicine, because the fact that I have to get an official diagnosis to get some of the medicines that I think would actually help me. And so basically the way it is currently is what I've been doing for like the past 6 months or so, since I've only usually got writing time during work hours. If I feel like working on something that day, I work on that, and I make sure I follow my mood. And I am getting a fuck ton of stuff done that way, but nothing's getting complete. Nothing is getting enough progress to get even close to publication. None of it. And that is starting to bother me, because I would like to start publishing books. I would like to. I'm doing so much writing, and I talk a lot on these vlogs about how much writing I'm doing, but I'm not getting, it feels like I'm not getting anywhere close to being able to show what I'm working on, if that makes sense. The only thing that I have been showing to readers, like, they are getting first drafts, so it's messy, it's ugly, it's full of errors, whether it's plot hole errors or it's full of grammar errors or anything like that, is my newsletter subscribers. And honestly, they haven't got anything in about 6 months either, because I haven't been working on the story that I was sending to them. There was a story I started writing as a 7-day book project. It was originally supposed to be a novella, story of my life, and it turned into a novel. It is plotted out to have 22 chapters, and basically the way I was doing it is I was sending a chapter a month to my newsletter subscribers. They have now caught up to where I stopped after the 7-day book project, or book challenge, and I have not really written on it since. Because again, lost the mood, didn't feel like working on it anymore. Followed the dopamine, followed the serotonin. So, but that is the only thing that I have to show readers, that yes, I am writing, yes, I am working on various things. No, nothing is getting completed, which is very frustrating. And I've always been this way, because like I have mentioned a small handful of times that even before I was publishing, I was posting my stories to a site called Fiction Press, which was basically fanfiction.net's fiction version. That sounds right. There was a site called Fanfiction which was meant for, it was called, fanfiction.net was for fanfiction. And then after a while, people started posting like original stories, and so they split off and did a secondary site called Fiction Press. And I used to publish my stories to Fiction Press. So like, even going back and looking at all those, I have a bunch of stories and novels and stuff like that where nothing is complete for that same exact reason. I was following the dopamine back then, because I wrote 90% of those stories were written when I was in high school and college. So I was like working around school and work. So, but again, nothing is complete on there. In fact, a lot of those story ideas are not even on this list. Even though there are ones I'm technically interested in, still working on, they are like so far in the back of my mind as ones I want to even work on, that's not even funny. So I run into that problem. So my way of combating this issue is that I am going through all of these projects, and I'm seeing what my interest levels are. I am seeing like where I stand with each of these projects, if with the series as a whole, with the individual books in the series. When I finally get to the standalones, it'll be a lot easier, because it's just boom, 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 done. There's so much depth into some of the series because of the fact that different series are in different states. Each of these books are in different stages of writing and rewriting, which means none of them, except for the very first one, are ready for publication. And that is where I stand with a lot of my series, is that I've got different books in different stages. So that's what I'm going through, is I'm gauging my interest in the different story ideas, where I stand with, especially series, with each book in the series. And with the standalones, I'll be doing, not the standalones, with the collections, I'll be doing the same thing, because it's a collection of short stories. Lots of ideas, lots of projects, lots of things I am going through to try to like figure out where I stand with everything, which is almost similar to what I did in that series of videos. But a lot of these projects, or like I've added new projects, I've added a couple of new projects, or like even series, like some of the series when I did that series of videos had, one of the series in particular had 3 books, now has 4. One book series had 4 books, now has 5. One book series had 5 books, now has 6. Like I keep getting ideas. So like in this particular thing, I'm fleshing out where I stand with every book in the series right now. The same will be true with the standalones, which I've added 4 or 5 new standalone ideas since making that series of videos. And hopefully they stay standalones. So like that's the kind of stuff I'm working on right now. And once I finish that, my goal is to rank them. Like I'll write a brand new list. And based on my interest, I will rank them like 1 through 10. Nope. I need it shorter than that. High interest, low interest. No, high, medium, low, 0. Yeah. So I'll 1 through 4. I will rank them 1 through 5, actually. 1 through 5. With 1 being no interest at all, skipping for now, probably may never get to. And 5 being like, I need to write this like right now. This is the project for me kind of thing. So once I finish going through and seeing where I have different interests in these projects and like how much interest in these projects, then I will do my ranking system. And from there, I'm going to start figuring out a new publication plan. That's what all this was leading to. Sorry if I rambled on trying to get to that point. Because the idea is like, what can I work on now that I will have interest in and am willing to write? And what do I need to do to get it like publication ready? What do I need to do to start getting some of these books? Because like I said, there's 51 projects, and that's with the series being like a whole series as one versus each individual book in the project in the series. Like if I look at all the story ideas individually, I have over 100 story ideas. And I keep getting more daily. Like I said, I've added like 3 or 4 standalones in the past 6 months since I made those videos, and I don't even think it was 6 months ago. It probably wasn't that long ago. I will probably do an annual video series like that every year with where I stand with projects. I gotta start thinking of where I want to go moving forward from now. What do I need to change starting now to get me to where I want to be? And that's some of the stuff I've been thinking about lately. That's the stuff that's really driving this whole thing. So I have not been writing for the past week. Yeah, my last writing day was February 28th. We're now, today's the 6th as of recording this. It's like 1:30 in the morning. And that's just the things I've been thinking about. So I'm going to continue going through my list of 51 projects, and I'm going to continue figuring out where I stand with all of them. And then after I finish, I will start my ranking system. So I'm hoping to get all of this done by the end of this week. But I've worked on this like for 3 days already, and I seem to be only doing like 4 or 5 series a day. Like I said, it'll go faster once I get to the standalones. I'm just not there yet. So, and I will have more thoughts on this particular thing moving forward. For now, I just want to focus on figuring out what projects I am really interested in and how I'm going to move forward with them in the future. So I'm going to go get to work because I have talked way too long about this and probably put way more detail into this than you really cared to know. So I'm going to go and I'm going to work on this, and then we will go from there. Fun fact, I finished what I was working on. So I have developed all of my thoughts about each of the projects and where I stand with them and like how much interest I have in them. So now I'm going to go through and do a ranking of all these projects 1 through 4, 1 through 5. But I'm going to do it a little differently because some of these stories are like dependent on other stories. Like I have, let's take one of my short story series, for example. I have a collection of 3 separate short story series. They're each 7 stories long, so that's 21 stories total. But the first series deals with a family of 7 sisters as they find their love interests and their partners. And then the second series is the main character of, they're all 7 stories are about monsters finding their love interests, like the monsters under the bed, the monsters in the closet, that kind of thing. And the one of the characters is a friend of one of the characters from the first series. So that's how that ties in together. And then the third series, the first story is the cousin of one of the 7 sisters from the first series. So like all these series are interwoven together, and I want to make sure I write those series in that order. I want the first series written first, second series, and then third series. Doesn't matter what my interest level in those series are. That's how I want to work on those. And I've got several different series that are structured that way. So before I go into this ranking system, I am going to go in and kind of group my shared worlds together and put them under a single name. Some of these will be easier than others because I don't have, like with the example I just told you about the different monsters, the first series is about like supernatural creatures, whereas the second series is monsters under the bed, monsters in the closet, and the third series is cryptids. So like the first series involves ghosts, a vampire or an orc, a djinn. The second series is like a demon monster, a cat monster, a spider monster, a snake monster, like stuff like that. And then the third series is a wendigo, Bigfoot, Mothman, stuff like that. Like that is how each of those series are structured. There are different characters in each, but it's the same universe. But I don't know like how I want to name that universe, so I might just call it short story series. The problem is I've got 2 different short story series worlds that are like that, so I've got to figure that out. I'm going to do that real quick, and then once I finish that, then I can do my ranking system of my interest. It's mostly the collection of series that I have to do that with, because none of my standalones really do that, because otherwise they'd be a series. So the series will be, the standalones will be a lot easier to get through. The collection will be a lot easier to get through as far as like my interest level in them. But I need to figure out like the shared universe titles. The way I think about it is like I've always wanted to do something like this with the different series and standalones. Very similar to the Valdemar. We call it the Valdemar series. It's by Mercedes Lackey, and what the Valdemar is the name of the fantasy world, and she's got a bunch of different trilogies and series and anthologies and standalone novels in this particular world. It's very massive. It's still growing. She's still writing books for it. She's still writing anthologies for it. She's still inviting other authors to join into anthologies. Not gonna lie, ultimate dream. I do not write in the writing style that would fit in her world. I just don't. I wish I did, because I would love to write a Valdemar story. I would absolutely adore to write a Valdemar series. But the only way that's ever going to happen is if she suddenly decides that she wants to add YA books with a more modern, softer, looser, I don't know exactly how to describe it. My writing style compared to that of like epic fantasy is very dumbed down. Is not the right term, but basically dumbed down. Like I write definitely a more YA style compared to her style. So the only way I'll honestly ever be able to work with her is if she suddenly decides I want to add a YA series into my novel, my world, which I doubt is going to happen. So probably never going to work with her, but that is like the ultimate dream. Like I would die and go to heaven if she ever contacted me and said, hey, I want you to write in my world, especially if it was the Valdemar series, because I grew up like Magic. I've talked about this on multiple occasions, but Magic's Pawn by Mercedes Lackey was my introduction to epic fantasy, to shared universes, to LGBT characters, to dealing with grief both negatively and positively. Like, just, oh my god, that book is just so amazing. And I do have a video on my channel that I'll link below where I go more into depth about why I love this book. It's not that long. I promise, like a 5-minute video max. But my point is that what I'm doing with these different, especially like the short story series, are more closer to what she did with the Valdemar series. It's not the same by any stretch of the imagination, but it's closer. It's like the paranormal romance similarity, and I really do enjoy that. And I would love to eventually someday, not anytime soon, come, especially with that first 3 that I gave the example of, I would love to come up with other 7-story series to like tie into that universe as well. But I've got a couple different series, short story series that are exactly like that, where each of there's like a collection of couple different series that are all in the shared world kind of thing. And I've tried thinking of ways to tie them in together, but it hasn't worked out in my favor, so probably won't be. But that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to figure out what to call those collections, those shared universes, and then I will do the ranking system, and then hopefully from there I'll be able to figure out what I want to work on and like how much interest I have in that particular project, like in the top projects, like like I can't word this right, like figuring out which of my top projects I have more interest in than the other. Like, say I have more interest in this, I have the same level of interest in both these series, but like which one would I rather work on, kind of thing. That way I can ultimately decide what project we'll be working on. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So I finished my ranking of like my interest levels in the projects, and it's really interesting because like I had the most 3s, which I expected, because 3s were like the ones where like could go either way. Like I could, right now I have some interest in them, but there's like a lot of plot problems that prevent me from like continuing them. So it could be that my interest in them grows as I figure out those plot problems, or like my interest wanes as I go longer and longer without figuring those plot problems. So that was really interesting to me and what I fully suspected. When I wrote down my like final list, I only wrote down the 5 through 3 because those are the ones I think that, like 5 is obviously the ones I have the most interest in, the ones I'm like, I want to write these and publish them now kind of thing, with 4s being like the next top of my list. So what I've got for my 5s is really interesting, and actually it's on par with what I've been writing lately, outside of the random just projects that I've been working on. And that is a buck short, which was my most recent 7-day book challenge, and what will probably be my next 7-day book challenge in March. And then the next one was those 3 that I was talking about in the shared universe. I was calling the shared universe Monster Meet Cutes, but as far as like the individual series goes, I wrote that with the interest levels, once I figured out what the actual interest levels were, I wrote down the series individually versus the shared universe title, because the shared universe title is not like official. So anyways, so my 5s were a buck short, sultry solstices, monstrous mates, and captivating cryptids, which are like the ones I'm thinking about the most right now. So that makes sense that those are 5s, and I'm really happy with those being 5s. But some of my 4s surprised me. So my 4s were Fey Bonds, 5 Kingdoms, Shifters and Mages, Blood Like Stained Glass, and What's Your Story, which is my writing prompt book. And then my 3s, these were ones where I was like, oh, okay, I did not realize I had this much interest in this, or like I didn't realize the interest was as strong until I was like doing this. And those include Fire and Brimstone, Unfamiliar Fairy Tales, Warlocks, Witches of Glenwood, Merlin's Dragons, Winter Moon Royals, Aesop's Curse, Phantom Chronicles, Thirst Chronicles, Remedos Chronicles. All 3 of those I think you can figure out that all 3 of those were in a shared universe. Pack Scandals, Willow Creek Shifters, Cthulhu's Bride, Haunting the Big Bad Wolf, Just One Bite, and Paw Prince plus Broomsticks. So like total, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 25 projects. So we went from 51 projects to 25, which makes this so much more manageable. And especially knowing like that I've only got 4 in the 5 category that like interest me the most, makes things so much easier. So I'm definitely going to be working on those ones that are in the 5, and actually 2 of them technically are only in the 5 right now, because of the fact that I mentioned with the shared universe, I wanted to write them in a particular order, and I want to make sure all of the ones from that one series are done before I move on to the next series. So technically there's only 2 in the 5 category, and that is a buck short and sultry solstices. So until I finish sultry solstices, say that 5 times fast, I'm not going to be moving on to monstrous mates, and until I finish monstrous mates, I'm not going to be moving on to captivating cryptids. So that makes things so much easier. That tells me what I'm going to be working on for the next few days, weeks, months. I want to finish a buck short. I have been wanting to finish a buck short. It did not surprise me that a buck short showed up on that list under the 5 category. And it also does not surprise me that the sultry solstices showed up on that category, because, I'm sorry if you heard that, that was my stomach making a weird noise. Because again, I've been working on that so much recently, and I want to get those finished. Like, I want to work on those. But some of those other series and shorts and some of those other projects, because not all of them are series, some of those other projects really did surprise me. And I think doing this was a little eye-opening, because I realized as I was going through my interest levels how many stories that I have actually, no, we're not going to talk about this video, because that's going to go into a whole other topic that's going to be long-winded, and I just don't want. I want to focus on like what I want to work on next. So yeah, I have narrowed down my projects that I'm going to be working on doing this, because I am going to work on a buck short and sultry solstices. Sultry solstices deals with 7 short stories that are all, I want to say they're right around 10,000 words long. Something to that effect. The first one is done, and I have a few tweaks to make to it before I send to a professional editor. If you're interested in being a beta reader for some super short, they're, like I said, they're like 10, no more than 15,000 words long. I don't think it's longer than 10,000 though. I think it's right around the 10,000 word mark. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to say 10 to 15,000 words long. Because the next several in the series might get a little longer. We'll see. But anywhere, if you are interested in reading 10 to 15,000 word shorts with no spice and no violence, my characters do cuss. And a lot of times there is some violence, but these particular stories, at least the first couple that I have written, there is no violence. There's no gore. Because they are supposed to be like super sweet, like Hallmark meets monsters kind of thing. So yeah, if you're interested in reading something like that and being a beta reader, let me know. I will eventually be putting together like a beta reader form. I don't want more than 3 beta readers per story. I'll have more information coming out about that soon. I do want to get the first couple of stories like fully ready for beta readers and editors before I start putting out feelers for that. I do have my editor picked out. She's already agreed to work on these stories. Originally we were aiming for March, but I'm going to go ahead and email her and be like, hey, I've been sick. I have not worked on these like the way I planned to, so it's going to be more like April, May. But I will also have another video talking about like my publishing plans in the future too, because like I got video ideas out the wazoo, because I do have things I want to talk about because I've been gone for so long, and I'm rearranging my thought process about everything. But this was step 1. This was figuring out what I wanted to work on next. Figuring out what I have the most interest in was eye-opening, because like I said, there was some stuff that on there that I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then it also basically points me in the right direction of where I want to go next and what I want to work on next. So definitely going to be focusing on a buck short, and definitely going to be focusing on sultry solstices. Buck short it was originally supposed to be a short story. It's already at 10,000 words, and I haven't hit the inciting incident. I think I'm just coming upon the inciting incident that will propel the rest of the story. So I'm thinking it's going to be more novella, hopefully no more than 50,000 words. But like I said, it's already at 10,000 words, and we haven't even hit the inciting incident yet. So I'm thinking it's going to be longer than what I was originally planning it to be, like a 20,000 word story. It's not going to be. So still on the shorter side, still definitely shorter. But I'm going to work on a buck short for the next 7-day book challenge, which is March 24th through the 30th. And then I'm going to continue working my way through the 7 short stories of the sultry solstices. And after that, I will probably reevaluate this particular list with the 5s, 4s, and 3s to see what projects I want to work on next. Because I like the idea of having 2 projects that I'm working on. With the sultry solstices, I'm definitely editing the first story. And I'll be editing and revising the second story too, because those 2 are both written. 3 through 7 are the ones that aren't written and fleshed out and stuff like that. So I think by the time I finish at least the first sultry solstices and probably the second sultry solstices, I'll have finished the first draft of a buck short, which is like perfect. So that's the plan. I'm going to be working on those 2 stories. I'm super happy that I figured this out, and now I've got to go get back to work because I have spent way too long worrying about this in ways that we won't even talk about. Baggy came in. He is hiding amongst blankets and other stuff. I'm not quite all certain what all's there other than clothes. And then Ogre's right there. Boop, the nose. Boop the nose. You're too far away from me to actually boop your nose. And then over in my chair is Pixel on my pillow because she's a brat. And that's why I'm sitting where I'm sitting in Justin's chair, because she has stolen my chair. So one of my self-care things that I like to do is I like to get my nails done, whether I do them myself or I go to a salon and do them, whether I'm painting them. What I really would like to do is I would love that nails like this, the press-on nails, I would love if they work. So I've been watching some videos lately on how to like apply press-on nails correctly so that they last longer. So we're gonna try these. I've already got them on. They look gorgeous. They are longer though, and that's what worries me because I work in housekeeping. In fact, actually, you can hear the dryer running in the background. So like I'm washing and folding mops and rags, and then I'm a housekeeper, so I'm cleaning the clinic. That is actually my job, is to clean the clinic. So we'll see how long these last. I think someone told me, I think one of the videos I watched said that this brand, the Kiss brand, should last about 30 weeks. I don't see on here. Wear beyond 7 days is not recommended. Okay, so these are only supposed to last a week. But if this works and if this application works, these are gorgeous. I'm gonna have to get some more of these. I don't necessarily like the shape. I think this shape is called rounded. I prefer either almond or my favorite is actually the coffin/ballerina nails. But I love the way these look. They're super gorgeous. So we'll see how long they last. But with my job, nails don't unless I get them done by a salon and I get like acrylic or gel nails, nails don't tend to last me a long time. So we'll see how long these last. Since this does say they only last 7 days, as long as they last 7 days, I'll be happy. But generally speaking, with press-on nails, I'll lose one by the end of the night. So we'll see. So a couple of updates. Since Monster Hunter Wilds came out, I have been playing it nonstop. And by nonstop, I mean like I played it nonstop the weekend it came out. It came out for us because we live in the West Coast. There was something weird going on with time zones and stuff. So like it came out February 27th for us, whereas it came out for the East Coast February 28th. I don't pretend to understand that. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I did not play it on the 27th. I did download all my files that everyone else had to download on the 28th. So when I went to go play it on the 28th, I could because everything had already downloaded in my computer. And since the 28th of February, I have played it every single damn day. I love the Monster Hunter games. I had never heard of Monster Hunter before my husband and I were together. He was the one that introduced me to them, and he introduced me to the earlier games, but the first game I remember playing was Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii. Difficult as fuck to play it on the Wii. Hated it. Definitely have loved it ever since playing it on PC. I will never change from PC. I am a PC gamer. Come at me, bro. Okay, but anyways, all of that to say is that I've been playing it nonstop. But if you've been around my channel for a while, you may have heard me mention this before. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't talk about the gaming side of my life a lot because I'm more of a hobby gamer, and like me playing every day is very unusual. I'm definitely a binge gamer where I play a lot for like a couple of days and then I play nothing, absolutely nothing for months. So the fact that I've played even almost a full week now is kind of scary, actually. Excuse me, in a lot of ways. All of this to say is that I love Monster Hunter games, but I've never beaten them. In fact, I can count on one hand how many games I've actually beaten in my life, and that is the original Spyro that came out in like the mid-90s, late 90s for PS2. I beat that, and honestly, I've been playing off and on. I've been playing the refurbished. That's not the term I think I'm thinking of is remastered, but that doesn't sound right either. Anyways, so recently they bought out Spyro Remastered for like the PS4. By recently, I mean like within the past 5-ish years, 10-ish years, something to that effect. The Spyro Reignited trilogy came out in 2018. It's been a little bit, but less than 10. I was right. Okay, more than 5, less than 10. So for a while there, when it first came out, I was replaying it, and there was some stuff that happened in it that I was like, I do not remember this. And my husband was like, yeah, this all happened. So now I question whether that I actually beat that game. Though, in my mind, Spyro, the original, was the first game I ever beat. And then there was Order 1886, which my husband did have to help me with the final boss fight. because of motion sickness on my part, because you're in a blimp, I think, and there was a lot of explosions and going on, and the blimp was shaking. So I was very much having motion sickness problems with that very final fight, and he did have to help me with that. So those two. And then recently, earlier this month, February actually, I think it was February 27th, I think we beat the main storyline for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So I'm very happy about that. Very happy about that. And then today, I beat the main storyline for Monster Hunter Wild. I'm so excited about that. I've played several Monster Hunter games. I've played Try, I played World, I played Rise. I have not played Stories yet. I played 4. I played 4 Ultimate. 4 Ultimate 4. I don't remember if it was 2 or 1 game. So I've played quite a few Monster Hunter games, but I've never beaten Monster Hunter games. And I finally beat a Monster Hunter game. I'm super excited about that. I just wanted to let you guys know. It may not sound like I'm super excited, but that's because I have no fucking voice. So tired of being sick, or whatever this shit is. I wish my voice would return to normal. Don't know if it ever will at this point. But, yes, I beat Monster Hunter Wilds, and I absolutely love the game. And if you are a Monster Hunter gamer, you know that the game itself starts once you've beat the main storyline, which, of course, I've never done, so I've never played the real game. But, like, all of the gamers I've talked to who are, like, have been playing Monster Hunter since they first came out, we're like, yeah, now the real game begins. I'm like, oh, I've never gotten to this point. It's such a weird feeling. So that's where I'm at right now, is I get to actually start playing Monster Hunter, and it's fantastic, and I love it. I am very much an aesthetic armor person. Like, if the armor looks cool, I'm gonna fucking wear it. I don't care how good it is. And let me just tell you this, my armor's starting to look fantastic. I'm missing a couple pieces in order to make the final armor set that I want for what rank I am currently, hunter rank wise. But that doesn't matter. I am working on it, and I am getting there, and I'm loving it. So by now you've probably seen a couple clips where I've like tried to film the cutscenes whenever you like successfully complete a quest, because I've tried to show where like my interaction with my palico, which is your cat companion, and my interactions with my sacred, which is the bird that you ride in this particular game. Like, it's such a cool, fun game. I love it so much. I'll show some clips of where I like my character herself too, because one of the things when I'm gaming, I have 2 or 3 names that I jump between whenever I'm gaming, and I screwed up with naming this particular character versus in the past, because usually when I name my characters, I name my characters Kaya, Kya, and then I name my cat, my palico, Raisa, which is R'Asa. And if I play a cat character in Skyrim, a Khajiit, I always name it Raisa. So, fun fact about me. And generally my humanoid characters are always Kaya. And I've used Kaya for years. And I've used Raisa for my palicos for years. And this time I screwed up. I named my main character Raisa. Don't ask me why. I don't know. So I had to figure out a new name for my palico, and I named him Kyo, after Kyo from Fruits Basket, which is my favorite character. So, if you know, you know. But, I guess it's close to Kaya. It's 1 letter off. It's Kyo instead of Kya. So I guess it worked out. But, and then my bird, my sacred, I made it look like a chocobo. I added some color later. I thought the stripes looked cool, so I added some blue stripes, some bright blue stripes, but I still named it Chocobo. Anyone who knows I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy. Again, never beaten any of the games, and my introduction to Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy VIII. I skipped 7. I actually only played 8 while I was house sitting some plants, so I didn't even play it that much. But that was my introduction to Final Fantasy, and then from 8, my introduction to Final Fantasy was 12, and I absolutely adore 12. So, take that as you will. But yeah, I beat Monster Hunter Wilds. It's only the 4th game I've ever beat, and it feels doubly awesome because of the fact that I beat Monster Hunter Wilds only like a week after beating Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So like it's double amazing. I've had just I'm so happy. It's so exciting.